The night is gentle. The stars are awake, but they do not shout. They shimmer like distant lamps, each one a reminder that the sky has been watching for countless ages. You lie beneath them, resting, as the story opens its slow pages. It is a story as old as memory itself, the story of the very first struggle. Not a struggle of violence, not a struggle of hatred, but a gentle stirring. The quiet breath of creation, learning how to balance light and dark. In the beginning, the universe was not yet divided. It was a sea without edge. Silent, endless, still. Some scriptures call it the primordial waters, others call it the void. It was neither cruel nor kind. It simply was. And then a stirring, a movement, as if the universe took its first breath. From that stillness came the whisper of light, a glow delicate as a single flame in a deep cavern. The glow did not destroy the dark. It simply revealed that the dark was there. And the dark, too, did not vanish. It remained, wrapping the new light in its vast embrace. This was the first dawn of struggle. Not a war, but a conversation. Not hatred, but balance. In ancient hymns of Mesopotamia, the sea goddess Tiamat is spoken of as the endless waters. Her silence stretched across the ages until the younger gods awoke within her depth. They did not hate her, yet their very movement caused ripples in her stillness. The first struggle was simply this: the restless and the still trying to share the same eternal sea. In Egyptian memory, before the first sunrise, there was none, the boundless flood. No earth, no sky. Only quiet waters and infinite shadow. And from this ocean, the first light rose like a lotus. Delicate, fragile, radiant. The lotus carried the sun child, who would one day shine across the sky. But even as the sun rose, the waters of none remained. The struggle was not to destroy, but to hold balance. Light rising, darkness resting, each one holding the other. Close your eyes and feel this first dawn. Imagine yourself floating in the waters of that timeless ocean. The water is warm. The dark is deep, but it is not frightening. And above you, a glow begins to spread, gentle, golden, like morning mist. It touches your face softly. The dark does not vanish. It wraps around you like a cloak, while the light brushes against you like a blessing. This is the earliest conflict. A quiet one, a necessary one. The meeting of two forces that would forever dance, night and day, shadow and sun, silence and song. In the Hebrew scriptures, it is told, "In the beginning, the earth was formless and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Then came a voice, simple and clear, 'Let there be light.' And there was light. And the light was good. But notice, the darkness was not cast away. It remained. It was given its own place, its own time, its own dignity. Day for the light, night for the dark. The first conflict was not destruction, but division into harmony. The Zoroastrians, too, told of the twin spirits, one leaning toward light, one leaning toward shadow. Neither could be erased. They were born together. And in their eternal dance, the universe found its rhythm. Drift a little deeper now. You can feel the rhythm of your own breath. Inhale, exhale. Light, dark. Every breath you take repeats this ancient balance. The lungs fill with brightness, then release into stillness. Even within your body, the first dawn of struggle continues as a gentle cycle, never ending, never cruel. Imagine standing at the edge of the world's first morning. The sky is half shadow, half glow. The air is cool, yet warming slowly. There are no cities yet, no names, no borders. Only horizon, only silence. And within that silence, you hear the first birds stir. Their wings stretch. Their songs begin, trembling like the very voice of creation. They too carry the struggle, silence and song, rest and flight. The myths of many lands remind us this first conflict was not punishment. It was birth. It was the natural rhythm of existence, learning how to sway. The Taoists would later whisper of yin and yang, dark resting in light, light shining in dark. One cannot live without the other. Even the shadow carries the seed of brightness, and the sun cannot shine without casting a soft outline of shade. In Hindu hymns, before creation, there was only the breath of the cosmic waters. Then came the sound, the sacred syllable, the vibration Om. It trembled in the silence, and from that vibration, worlds were formed. Even here, the first conflict was sound against silence, vibration against stillness, not enemies but companions. Rest now in the thought of these twin forces. Let the dark around your room be soft. Let the light within your mind glow quietly. You do not need to choose between them. They are both here for you. Both are ancient guardians. When you close your eyes, you are not running from light. You are entering the embrace of darkness. When morning comes, you will not run from dark. You will rise with the glow of light. This is the cycle written into the heart of the universe. The first dawn of struggle is still alive. It whispers in the rising and falling of tides. It shines in the waxing and waning of the moon. It echoes in the beating of your heart. One beat of expansion. One beat of release. One beat of light. One beat of dark. There is nothing here to fear. There is only rhythm. There is only balance. The very balance that held the world since its beginning now holds you as you drift towards sleep. And so, the story of the first dawn closes not with victory or defeat, but with harmony. Light resting beside dark. Dark holding the space for light. Together they created time. Together they created rest. Allow yourself now to float in that balance. The room is quiet. Your breath is steady. The stars keep watch, as they have for countless ages. You are part of that same eternal rhythm. Now rest, as the first dawn fades into timeless night. Now sleep, as the universe cradles you gently. Now drift onward, into dreams, into silence, into peace. The desert opens wide before you, an endless expanse of sand and sky. The air is still, warm and dry, yet soft winds move across the dunes, whispering secrets of ages long gone. Here in this silence, every grain of sand holds memory. Every shadow carries a story. The desert is not empty. It is alive with quiet. It listens more than it speaks. And within its listening, the prophets once walked, their steps pressed into the dust, their voices lifted into the wind, their hearts tested by heat, hunger, and solitude. The desert trials were not battles of sword and shield. They were journeys of the soul, a crossing not just of land, but of the spirit within. For the desert strips away. It takes what is loud. It takes what is unnecessary, until only the heart remains. Bare, open, listening. It is said that prophets walked here, to be shaped by silence. The silence of stone, the silence of stars, the silence of God. Imagine now the long horizon. No trees, no rivers, only the golden sweep of sand. A sky stretching so far, it feels eternal. The sun glows like a lamp that never rests. By day, heat presses down. By night, the air chills with a quiet so deep. It feels like water around the soul. And through this vastness, a lone figure walks, bare feet in the dust, staff in hand, eyes lifted not to palaces or cities, but to the sky above, searching for guidance. One story tells of Moses. He left behind the wealth of Egypt and entered the wilderness. There he found not abundance, but thirst, not feasts, but hunger. Yet in the emptiness, there was presence, a flame burning in a bush that was not consumed, a voice in the silence, gentle, steady, calling him to trust. The desert stripped him of pride. It stripped him of certainty. And in that stripping, he discovered strength. Not the strength of armies, but the strength of faith. Another story whispers of Jesus. He too entered the wilderness. 40 days and nights beneath the open sky. Stones beneath his feet. Wild beasts in the distance. Hunger pressing against his body. Whispers tempting his mind. Yet he did not yield. He remained still, like the stones around him, rooted in prayer, anchored in spirit. The desert tested him, but it also revealed him. For in the emptiness, the truth within grew clear, shining like a star at night. Long before, another prophet wandered. Elijah, weary and afraid, fled into the wilderness. He lay beneath a tree and longed for rest. But in that desolation, a messenger came, a loaf of bread, a jar of water, small gifts, yet enough to carry him onward. And when he hid in a cave, seeking the voice of God, it did not come in the earthquake. It did not come in the fire. It came in a whisper, soft as the desert wind, peaceful, steady, gentle. The desert trials teach in silence. They show that the soul is stronger than hunger, thirst, and fear. They reveal that faith is not found in abundance, but in emptiness, not in plenty, but in trust. For the desert is a mirror. It reflects the heart. It reveals the shadows and the light within. And in that revelation, the spirit is shaped. Picture now the endless dunes, each curve a wave of sand, as though the ocean once lived here and left its memory behind. At night, the sky is heavy with stars. They shine like lanterns hung in eternity, guiding travelers across the vast sea of dust. The prophets walked by these stars. They trusted the heavens when the earth gave no path. Each star was like a promise, a reminder that even in emptiness, there is direction. Even in silence, there is guidance. In every tradition, the desert is a place of trial, but also a place of birth. It is where nations were born, where laws were given, where revelations came. The harshness of sand and stone was the cradle of new life. For what is stripped bare becomes ready to receive, and what receives becomes strong enough to endure. Imagine yourself here now, walking slowly across the dunes. Your feet press into soft sand. The wind brushes gently across your face. The horizon stretches endless before you. But you do not fear. The desert is quiet. It asks for nothing. It offers space. Space for breath. Space for rest. Space for listening. Within this space, you find your own heart. You find its hidden strength. You feel its quiet trust. The desert trials are not only stories of the past. They live within every soul. For each life holds its wilderness. Moments of emptiness, of waiting, of not knowing. Yet in these moments, the spirit listens more deeply. The heart learns to trust. The soul becomes still. And in that stillness, there is discovery. A flame that does not burn out. A voice that whispers gently. A star that guides through the night. The prophets passed through deserts, but they were not abandoned. They were accompanied by silence. By wind, by starlight, by a presence unseen, yet always near. And so too is every heart, even in its own deserts. It is never alone, for silence itself is company, for peace itself is presence. Now the winds soften, the night cools, the stars rest in their places above. The desert lies calm, like a vast blanket spread beneath the heavens. Here you may rest too. Let your breath move like the desert wind. Slow, steady, gentle. Let your body be like the dune, still and soft in the night. Let your spirit be like the stars, quiet, enduring, calm. The trials are past. The lessons are learned. The soul is at rest. What was empty is now full of peace. What was barren is now rich with trust. The desert holds you in silence. The night covers you in stillness. The stars shine as gentle guides. Now let the story fade. Let the silence deepen. Let the heart rest in calm. Drift onward, as the prophets once drifted beneath the stars. Rest now, as the desert rests in its endless stillness. Sleep now, as the winds sing their quiet song. The desert trials are complete. Peace remains. The night is quiet now. The world outside your window has slowed its pace. Shadows rest upon the walls like folded wings. A hush fills the air, like the silence between heartbeats. It is here in this soft silence that ancient stories stir. Stories of brothers. Stories of families standing at crossroads. Stories of the heart learning to carry both love and conflict. You drift gently toward them, as if walking through a misted valley, where the voices of the past rise and fall like echoes of distant drums. Family is the first circle, the first place of comfort, and the first place of struggle. Every ancient scripture remembers this truth. Even at the dawn of humanity's story, the heart knew both closeness and division. In the earliest scrolls, there are two brothers, Cain and Abel. One tended the earth, guiding plants from soil. The other cared for the flock, guarding the breath of animals. Both brought their offerings to the divine, each in their own way. One offering was embraced with favor. The other was met with silence. And in that silence, the seed of envy grew. Cain and Abel stand as the first remembered crossroads of kinship. Love between brothers, shadowed by the weight of comparison. Their story whispers of how fragile the human heart can be, yet also how deeply it longs for belonging. The desert winds carry us onward to another family. Here are Abraham's sons, Ishmael and Isaac, both born of promise, both held within the great unfolding of faith. Yet their paths divided. One walked into the desert's wide horizon, his descendants shaped by the sands. The other remained, carrying the covenant of the chosen line. Though their paths parted, the memory of their kinship remained like two rivers that once flowed together. Their story, too, reminds us that family can be both bond and boundary, both nearness and distance. Rest for a moment in the thought of brothers standing side by side. Their eyes meet. They see both love and difference reflected back. It is a mirror of the soul's own dual nature, longing for unity, yet shaped by its own unique path. The wind of the story shifts again, and now the ground beneath your feet changes. You find yourself in the vast land of India. Here the epic of the Mahabharata unfolds, a tale so long and endless, it has carried hearts for thousands of years. At the center stand two families of brothers, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, born from the same ancestors, raised under the same roof of destiny, yet drawn apart by jealousy, pride, and the hunger for power. Their struggle was not only over land or crown. It was the deeper struggle of family itself, the aching pull between loyalty and division, forgiveness and anger, peace and conflict. And yet, even in this tale of sorrow and battle, there shines the voice of wisdom. The Bhagavad Gita rises like a flame in the night, teaching that even amidst division, the soul can find stillness and truth. Let the rhythm of these stories settle gently upon you. Cain and Abel, Ishmael and Isaac, Pandavas and Kauravas. Their names may feel distant, yet their emotions are near. For every heart has known the gentle ache of closeness mixed with distance. Every spirit has walked the crossroads where love and struggle meet. Close your eyes and imagine a quiet road at twilight. Two brothers stand there. One looks to the left, the other to the right. Their paths will never again be the same. But for one brief moment, they stand together. They breathe the same air. They hear the same wind. And in that moment, there is still unity. The scriptures remind us that conflict among kin is not the end of love. It is simply part of the story of being human. The first field of struggle is not the battlefield of nations, but the hearth of family. And from this small circle, the greater lessons of compassion, forgiveness, and patience are born. Think now of the moon as it shines above both sides of the earth. It does not choose one brother over another. Its light touches both equally. The stars, too, scatter without preference. They shine upon Cain and Abel, upon Ishmael and Isaac, upon Pandavas and Kauravas, without judgment. Their light is a reminder that even when humans divide, the heavens remain whole. The air is calm again. The stories have softened into whispers. You can almost hear the sound of sandals on ancient roads, the rustle of robes, the hush of prayers spoken into the night. You realize that these stories are not tales of failure. They are lessons of the heart. They teach that conflict does not erase connection, that even when paths divide, the memory of kinship still flows like a river beneath the soil. Now let the chapter close as gently as it opened. Imagine those brothers, not in anger but in rest. Cain laying down his tools, Abel guiding his flock to stillness, Ishmael resting by the desert fire, Isaac looking at the same stars from his home, Pandavas and Kauravas, their spirits finding peace long after their struggles faded into the dust of time. Each one at the end is simply a soul returning to silence. Each one is a child of eternity. Each one is embraced by the same night sky. So let your heart rest as well. You have listened to their stories, felt their crossroads, and now you may release them. The room is quiet. The stars above your mind are gentle. Your breath is steady, flowing like a river at twilight. Let us drift onward, into deeper calm, into softer dreams. Now rest as the stars return to their watch. The night is hushed. The sky is wide and dark, a soft veil stretched above the earth. Moonlight rests upon the edges of still water, painting silver paths that seem to drift into forever. The air is cool, filled with the faint scent of salt, as though the ocean itself breathes beside you. You are safe here. The waves rise and fall with steady rhythm, like the beating of a heart that has always been here, always watching. This is where the stories of deliverance begin. Not upon dry land, but upon waters that test, waters that guide, waters that cleanse. Since the earliest days, the sea has been both mystery and mirror. It is wide and endless, and for many it carries the unknown. To step into its tide is to face both fear and trust. And so in many sacred texts, the sea is not only water. It is the soul's first true passage. It is where faith learns to breathe. In the ancient scriptures of Israel, there is a night remembered forever. A people stood pressed against the sea, their footsteps weary from the weight of escape. Behind them, a great power chased. Before them, only water stretched without end. It seemed there was no way forward. But then the winds rose. The sea shivered. The waters parted like a curtain, drawn open by unseen hands. A path of dry ground appeared, stretching into the distance, lit by the glow of fire and cloud. The people stepped onto it, hearts trembling yet carried by faith. And when they crossed, the waters closed again, returning to their eternal rhythm. This crossing was more than escape. It was deliverance. It was the sea reminding humanity that even in its vastness, it can open when the spirit is ready to walk. Close your eyes and imagine standing at that shore. The waves rise like walls on either side, yet they do not fall. You walk through, not in fear but in awe. The ground is firm beneath your feet. The air is heavy with mist, yet filled with light. Each step is a reminder. The sea that once blocked your way has now become your passage. Long before, in Mesopotamian memory, there was also a flood. The waters rose high, washing away the noise of the world. Only a chosen vessel floated, carrying seeds of life, carrying the memory of hope. The ark rocked gently on the endless waves, like a cradle upon the lap of eternity. The waters that once destroyed became waters of cleansing. When the flood receded, a dove soared above the earth, carrying in its beak a small branch, a promise that land would return and with it peace. The sea does not only take, the sea also gives. It washes away what has ended so that new life may begin. In the Hindu scriptures, too, the sea is remembered as a place of trial and wonder. The churning of the cosmic ocean, the Samudra Manthan, was not a quiet tale. Gods and demons pulled upon a serpent coiled around a mountain, using the sea itself as their field of struggle. From the depths arose both poison and nectar, both shadow and blessing. And when the divine physician gathered the nectar, it became the drink of immortality. Even here, the sea was more than water. It was the hidden heart of the cosmos, holding treasures and trials alike. To churn it was to face both fear and gift, both storm and calm. Rest now in the rhythm of waves. Listen in your mind to the water's endless song. Each wave carries memory. Each wave carries release. One wave washes away fear. The next wave carries trust. The sea is not against you. The sea is teaching you to surrender and to float. The Buddhists spoke of rivers as well. Not seas that overwhelm, but flowing streams that carry the pilgrim forward. To cross the river is to leave suffering behind. One steps onto the raft of Dharma, the raft of teaching, and lets the current move toward liberation. When the far shore is reached, the raft is left behind, for the waters have already done their work. In this way, the sea, the river, the flood are never only about water. They are about fear turned into passage, trial turned into trust. They are the wide mirrors of the soul's journey. Imagine yourself now upon a gentle boat. The wood is smooth, worn by time. The water is calm, stretching into starlight. You feel no weight of direction, only the soft rocking that lulls your body toward rest. Above you, the constellations shimmer. They too have sailed these waters for countless ages, guiding travelers with their steady light. You do not need to row. You do not need to steer. The boat carries you. The current guides you. You are safe within the sea's embrace. The stories of deliverance remind you that what first feels like a barrier can become a path. The waters that once seemed endless can open to reveal dry land. The floods that once threatened can cradle the seeds of a new beginning. The rivers that once divided can carry you toward the far shore. It is always this way with the spirit. What seems heavy may hold light. What seems final may hold beginning. The sea has always known this. It whispers it now in the hush of waves against shore. Rest again in the silence between tides. Feel the vastness around you, yet feel no fear. The sea stretches forever, yet it also rests within a single drop. And that drop rests within you. The same waters that parted for Israel, that rocked the ark, that churned in myth, that flowed in rivers of teaching, those waters live inside your very breath. Inhale, exhale, a tide within you, gentle, eternal. As the chapter closes, the waters grow still. The storm is gone. The flood has passed. The sea lies calm beneath the stars, a mirror of peace. You drift gently toward the shore of sleep. The sea has carried you, and now it rests. The night holds you, and now you rest. Let us drift onward, into deeper waters of dream. Now rest, as the stars return to their watch. The night is still. A hush spreads across the quiet chambers of your mind, as if the stars themselves lean close to listen. A candle burns low, its flame a small guardian of the silence. You rest near it, watching how its light trembles, rises and softens again. So begins this tale, a story not of rivers or mountains, but of the fire that hides within the heart, a flame that glows unseen, shaped by desire, by pride, by anger. Every tradition speaks of it, whether in whispers of monks by forest temples, or in hymns sung in stone cathedrals, or in the poems of sages who wandered between stars. Breathe slowly now, as we enter the soft chambers of this story. There is a tale in the Buddhist texts, a parable of the fire sermon. The Buddha once stood before a gathering, his voice steady as wind through bamboo. He said, "All is burning. The eyes are burning with desire, the ears with sound, the heart with longing, the mind with restless fire. Yet this fire," he said, "need not consume. When seen clearly, the flame becomes only light. When tended, it warms instead of destroys." The teaching was simple, as soft as a single breath. Desire when clung to burns, but desire when released fades into peace. The crowd, it is told, sat still as rivers at dusk. The word soothed them, as cool rain soothes dry earth. In Christian scripture, too, the hidden fire is remembered. It appears as wrath, as pride, as the fever of envy. Cain's heart burned with jealousy, and his fire spilled into violence. Kings grew proud, their fire rising until it consumed their thrones. But the texts also tell of another fire, the fire of spirit, the flame of the heart touched by grace. It is said that on a holy day, tongues of fire descended, yet they did not burn. They illuminated, they strengthened, they transformed fear into courage, and silence into song. Here too, the message is gentle. The same fire that harms can become the light that guides. The Hindu stories, woven through ancient hymns, speak of Agni, the sacred flame. Agni is the messenger, carrying prayers to the heavens. He burns upon the altar, but also within the chest of every being. He is hunger. He is passion. He is the will to live. The Mahabharata tells us of warriors whose pride and anger set whole kingdoms aflame. Yet in the same pages, sages tend small ritual fires, praying for balance, for clarity, for the turning of anger into wisdom. The fire is never shunned. It is honored, but also guided. It is seen as both friend and danger, both shadow and light. In Taoist thought, the fire within is a current, part of the endless flow. When the fire is unbalanced, the spirit grows restless, the body weary. But when it is softened by water, tempered by stillness, the flame becomes gentle warmth. It is said that the sage does not extinguish the fire, but lets it burn quietly, like a hidden coal, enough to give light, but never enough to scorch. The Tao teaches that opposites dance, fire and water, yin and yang. Within you, the flame has its place. It should not rage. It should not vanish. It should glow like a lantern, guiding the way through night. Desire, pride, anger, these are the sparks. They live in every heart. A person hungers for what is not theirs, and the fire of desire grows. A person boasts of their greatness, and the fire of pride rises. A person is wounded, and anger flares like lightning. But each fire, when watched with gentle eyes, softens. Desire can become devotion. Pride can become dignity. Anger can become protection of what is good. The hidden fire is not an enemy. It is a teacher. It waits, showing the heart its own restlessness. And it waits, offering the chance to turn restlessness into calm strength. Imagine yourself now, standing before an ancient brazier. The fire inside glows bright, its colors shifting from gold to red. You place your hands near, feeling both warmth and danger. Too close and it may burn. Too far and you feel nothing. But here in balance, it comforts you. This is the way of the hidden fire. It cannot be removed, but it can be tended. It can be guided into harmony. The old stories tell us that the world itself was born from fire. Stars flared into being. Suns gave light to the first mornings. From fire came warmth, and the chance for life to grow. But fire untended can also consume forests, cities, kingdoms. So too with the human spirit. It carries both the seed of life and the shadow of burning. The choice lies in the tending. Close your eyes deeper now. Breathe as if the air itself is cool water. Feel the fire in your own chest. Steady and calm. It beats with your heart. A flame that is yours alone. Not too bright. Not too dim. It glows quietly, lighting the chambers of your being. The ancients would say, guard this fire with kindness. Offer it patience. Do not starve it. Do not feed it recklessly. Let it glow in balance. In this balance, peace begins. So let the night deepen. Let the stars turn slowly in the heavens. The hidden fire within you is no longer restless. It is warm. It is safe. It is steady. Let desire rest into contentment. Let pride soften into humility. Let anger cool into compassion. The fire remains, but it is gentle now. It does not demand. It does not rage. It simply glows. And so this chapter closes, as the candle burns lower, and the air grows even softer. The hidden fire has spoken its lesson. It is not here to frighten. It is here to remind you of balance, to remind you of the stillness, waiting in every breath. Rest now, as the flame within steadies. Rest as the stars return. Let us drift onward, to the next story, the next dream, the next soft current of night. The night is deep, and the air is soft with quiet. The stars hang like lanterns above, watching without a sound. The earth itself seems to rest, as though listening to an ancient hymn. Hidden in the folds of silence, you drift through this stillness, your breath slow and even, as if each inhale carries the cool touch of moonlight, and each exhale releases the last traces of the day. Before you rises a vision, a temple of stone. Its walls stand against time, rooted in earth like mountains. It does not boast. It does not call. It simply stands, silent, steadfast, a witness to centuries. Let us enter now into these sanctuaries of stone, these temples of silent strength. Long ago in many lands, people carved such sanctuaries. They lifted stones toward the sky, not as weapons, but as prayers made solid. Temples rose from deserts, from forests, from hills where winds sang endlessly. In Egypt, the pyramids stood like guardians of eternity, their faces smooth as still water, their tips touching the heavens. Priests walked within them, as though moving through the heart of the cosmos, each chamber a mirror of the stars above. Even when storms swept the sands, the stones endured, silent strength, resting in patient watch. Far to the east, in India, temples blossomed from rock, like flowers carved from mountains. The Kailasa temple at Ellora, cut from a single cliff, was not built stone upon stone. It was revealed, as though the mountain itself was coaxed into the form of a sanctuary. Every wall, every carving, spoke of gods and guardians, of the eternal dance of life. It seemed to whisper, from within what seems unshakable, grace can be revealed. In Greece, pillars lifted skyward. The Parthenon, glowing in the dawn, stood not only as marble and stone, but as a prayer to wisdom. Its columns, lined like quiet sentinels, held more than weight. They held memory, the memory of a people who sought harmony in form, beauty and balance, even as empires rose and fell. The temple endured, its silent voice saying, strength is not in conquest, but in the endurance of spirit. In Japan, temples of wood stood among forests. Though lighter than stone, they carried their own strength, a strength of harmony. The great halls of Nara, their roofs sweeping like wings, echoed with the sound of sutras. The wood, though weathered by time, was cared for, replaced, renewed again and again. It taught that resilience is not only to resist, but also to bend, to adapt, to live in rhythm with the seasons. Each temple, whether carved from stone or raised from timber, spoke of the same truth. Strength is silent. It is not the shout of armies. It is not the roar of pride. It is the steady breath that endures across centuries. The old stories tell of times when armies came, soldiers marched toward these sanctuaries, seeking to claim or to destroy. And yet the stones endured. Walls bore the marks of fire, but they still stood. Statues lost their faces to time, but their forms remained, resting in patience. Even when conquerors took possession of temples, the silence within remained untouched. For the true sanctuary was not in the walls, but in the spirit of resilience. They represented, and there were battles too, not with swords, but with doubt. Priests and monks walked into their sanctuaries, carrying the weight of fear, the heaviness of despair. They sat before their altars, their hearts unsteady, their prayers uncertain. Yet in the stillness of the temple, their spirits softened. The silence held them, as strong as stone. In that silence, they found strength again. Strength to endure loss, strength to forgive, strength to rise with a gentle heart. Imagine now, that you are within such a temple. Its stones are cool against your touch. Its roof rises high above, dark yet calm, like the night sky itself. The air is scented with old incense, the faint trace of prayers, left behind by countless generations. You sit upon the floor. Around you, pillars stand like trees, ancient and unwavering. Each breath you take seems to echo within the hall. Here, no army can reach you. Here, no storm can shake you. You are in the sanctuary of silent strength. In Mayan lands, temples rose step by step toward the sun. Their stairways carried pilgrims upward, toward the light of dawn. Even now, long after their builders have gone, they stand beneath the jungle canopy, their stones kissed by vines, their silence undisturbed. Strength does not vanish. It transforms. In every culture, the temple stands as a mirror. It mirrors the inner sanctuary of the soul. Within every person, there is a temple of silent strength. Walls built not of stone, but of patience. Pillars shaped not of marble, but of faith. Altars made not of gold, but of compassion. When storms of anger come, when doubts march like armies, this inner temple remains. It is always there, waiting for you to enter. Close your eyes now. Step into that inner temple. See its vastness stretch within you. Feel its cool stone floor beneath your spirit. The silence here is deep. It is stronger than fear. It is stronger than pride. It is stronger than despair. Within these walls, you are safe. Within these walls, you are steady. Within these walls, you rest. The temples of old teach us one lesson. Resilience is sacred. Not the hard pride that breaks, but the soft patience that endures. Not the noise of conquest, but the silence of faith. Not the rush of anger, but the stillness of compassion. This is silent strength, and it is yours. Now let the night deepen. Let the stars glow above, as if each one is a lantern hung upon the roof of the universe. The temples stand still, watching over you, and within your own heart, a sanctuary glows, calm, eternal, untouched by storm. Rest within it. Rest as the silence surrounds you. Rest as strength becomes peace. Let us drift onward, through the dreamlit night. Now rest, as the stars return. Night has deepened. The stars glow softly overhead, each one a spark in the wide silence of the sky. The air is cool, like a gentle breath upon the skin. The world lies hushed, as though all creation itself has paused to listen to a distant rhythm. And in this stillness, you drift closer to a story as old as time itself. A story not of war in the way the world knows war, but of a dance, a movement, a balance, an eternal play between forces of light and shadow. In many lands, in many scriptures, this dance is told. The names change, the symbols change, but the pattern remains. Good and evil, order and chaos, dark and light, not enemies forever locked in rage, but partners in a great cosmic rhythm, moving in circles, like night yielding to day, and day softening again to night. In the vast landscapes of India, this dance was sung in the epics, in the Puranas, and in the whispers of wandering sages. Here, the god Vishnu descends, in many forms, avatars born when the world leans too far into darkness. When demons rise, Vishnu takes shape as a hero, a sage, a warrior, or even a humble creature. Each time, he restores balance, not by ending the dance, but by bringing the rhythm back to its center. In one age, he becomes Narasimha, half lion, half man, to break the pride of a tyrant. In another, he walks the earth as Rama, gentle yet strong, facing Ravana, the king of demons. And later, he dances as Krishna, whose laughter is as bright as the stars, whose flute song carries the power to soften even the hardest of hearts. The struggle is fierce, but beneath it flows a gentle truth. Light does not seek to destroy shadow, but to guide it back into harmony. Far away, in the firelit visions of ancient Persia, the Zoroastrians spoke of Ahura Mazda, the Lord of Light, and Angra Mainyu, the spirit of darkness. Their battles stretched across the cosmos, woven into every star, every flame, every breath of wind. The people tended sacred fires, not only for warmth, but to keep alive the light within. Each flame was a reminder that even when shadows pressed close, the smallest spark could hold them back. Theirs was not only a battle of gods, but of choices. Every good deed was a step in the dance, every kind word a spark of light, joining the rhythm of Ahura Mazda, pushing the world gently toward harmony. And in other lands, other dances unfolded. In the Norse Tales, gods and giants wrestled across the 9 realms. Odin's wisdom and Thor's thunder faced the wildness of frost and fire. The struggle was vast, but even here, it was not endless hatred. It was a cycle, a weaving of fate that carried the world toward Ragnarok, not as an end, but as a renewal. Even destruction was but another step in the rhythm, another turn of the dance. In the deserts of old Canaan, stories told of Yahweh, the one who shaped creation, meeting the chaos of Leviathan, the twisting sea serpent. Waters roared, storms howled, but always the divine hand brought stillness, tamming the sea, holding back the waves. And each sunrise after the storm was a reminder. Light returns, balance endures. In each of these stories, there is conflict, but the conflict is not empty. It is purposeful, measured, like the movement of dancers who meet part and meet again. The music is unseen, but it is steady. It has no end. It flows like a river of stars. Imagine now, you are standing upon a wide plain, beneath a sky heavy with constellations. Far in the distance, 2 figures move. One is bright, shining like fire. The other is dark, deep as shadow. At first, they seem to clash, to strike, to push against one another. But if you listen closely, you hear the music beneath their steps. Each movement is not rage, but rhythm. Each strike is not destruction, but balance. They are not enemies, but partners. They move together, as night and day, as inhale and exhale. And you, watching from the quiet plain, feel the rhythm inside yourself, in your breath, in your heartbeat, in the rise and fall of your chest. As sleep gathers closer, even within, this dance lives. Every person carries light, and every person carries shadow, desire, anger, fear. They stir within the soul, like restless winds, but compassion, faith, and love glow there too, like steady candles. The dance is not to silence one and keep only the other. The dance is to let them move together, to guide the shadow with light, to soften the fire with calm. Balance, always balance. So the scriptures remind us, the cosmos is vast, the struggle's unending, but there is no need for fear, because the dance is eternal, because the music never stops, and because the steps of life always return, just as morning always follows night. Breathe gently now. The night is calm. The stars above seem to sway with the rhythm of the dance. The ground beneath feels steady, holding you in its patient strength. The stories of gods and demons become like soft waves, ebbing, flowing, never striking, only moving. You rest in their rhythm. You rest in their balance. You rest in the eternal dance. Let us drift onward into the still night. The cosmos breathes softly. The stars return. Word count tilde 1605. The night lies open, wide and endless. The stars breathe gently above, their light falling like silver dust across the dark horizon. The air is cool and still, a cradle of silence. And in this hush, the heart leans toward stories of those who wandered far from home, yet carried with them words so bright they could not be lost. These are the voices of exile, prophets, sages, dreamers, each one a traveler in foreign lands, each one holding a flame that could not be quenched by distance. Exile is a word of both sorrow and hope. To be exiled is to be torn away from the soil that knew one's footsteps, from the rivers and fields of childhood, from the temples where prayers once rose. But exile is also the place where new visions awaken, where seeds are planted in unfamiliar ground. And across ages, the voices of exile have carried their wisdom into the waiting silence of the world. In the old songs of Israel, there is the river Babylon, broad and slow beneath the foreign sun. There the people sat, their harps hung on willows, their voices heavy with longing. Jerusalem lay behind them, distant, broken, its stones scattered. And yet, in their grief, they began to weave songs, songs of promise, songs of return, songs that lifted sorrow and reshaped it into hope. Even in exile, their voices did not fade. They became rivers themselves, flowing with memory, carrying the dream of home to the generations that followed. Far across the sands, another exile walked, Moses the prophet, who had once fled into the desert, who heard a voice in the flame that burned but did not consume. He was called to lead his people out, to wander in wilderness, to live as strangers beneath the stars. For 40 years they drifted, neither slaves nor yet a nation, their steps guided by cloud by day and fire by night. Their exile was not a punishment, but a passage. Each tent raised in the dust was a reminder that home is not always walls and gates. Sometimes home is a promise carried in the heart. Sometimes exile is the long breath before arrival. In the cool valleys of India, there are other stories of wandering. The epic Ramayana tells of Rama the prince, sent into exile from his kingdom. He walked with Sita, faithful beside him, and Lakshmana, his brother in loyalty. For years they lived among forests, among rivers that shimmered in moonlight, among the whispers of sages and hermits. His throne was far behind him, his crown forgotten. Yet exile became a sacred journey. Through struggle and loss, Rama discovered his strength. Through distance, his devotion deepened. His story reminds us that exile may strip away what is familiar, but it does not strip away the light of the soul. In Persia, sages spoke of Zoroaster, who faced exile of another kind, not a flight from land, but from acceptance. His words were new, his vision unwelcomed by many. He wandered, carrying the fire of truth, until hearts slowly opened to his voice. Exile for him was the long silence before listening, but the silence did not last. The fire was tended, and it burned across centuries, and in far lands to the east. In China, the poet Yuan knew exile deeply, a servant of his people, a lover of his land, yet cast out by envy and suspicion. He walked by rivers, he sang to mountains, he poured his sorrow into verse. His body wandered in loneliness, but his words soared like cranes. They outlived him. They became songs of loyalty, songs of beauty, reminders that even a broken heart can leave behind a gift that comforts generations. Exile is more than geography. It is also the silence within, the sense of being apart, the ache of not belonging. But again and again, the stories whisper, exile is not the end. It is the soil of transformation. In exile, voices become clearer. In exile, truths are refined. In exile, visions are born that might never awaken. In the comfort of home, imagine now a prophet walking under moonlight. His sandals press against dry earth. Behind him lies a city he cannot return to. Before him lies a wilderness without end. Yet in his hand he carries a scroll. The scroll is not heavy, but it holds a world of hope. Each word upon it is like a seed, small, quiet, yet waiting for the right soil, the right time. The prophet walks slowly, but the words walk with him. In your mind, you can see the scroll open. Its letters shine like stars. Its meaning flows like a river. Even in exile, the song continues. The voices of exile are not voices of despair. They are lanterns in a long night. They are soft flutes heard from far away. They are gentle fires that warm the cold air of distance. Each prophet, each poet, each wandering soul adds to the great chorus that reminds the world, even in exile, the divine is near. Think now of the stars above you. Each one is far from the others, each one alone in the sky, and yet together they form constellations, patterns of meaning, maps for travelers. So too with the exiled voices. Each one stood apart, far from homeland, far from comfort, and yet, together they shape a constellation of wisdom, a map for all who wander, a guide for all who long for home. Your breath moves slowly, like the river Babylon. Your heart is steady, like Rama's footsteps in the forest. Your mind is calm, like Yuan's verses flowing into the wind. You are not in exile. You are resting, but you carry their voices, and they soothe you. Now let the night deepen. Let the stories fade into soft light. The prophets rest. The sages sleep. The rivers grow quiet, and the stars return to their silent watch. Let us drift onward, into the stillness beyond words. Now rest, as the voices of exile become gentle dreams. The night opens slowly, like a curtain of silk. It drifts across the sky. Stars appear one by one, like tiny lanterns hung in the heavens. The air is gentle, the kind of quiet that cradles the soul. In this soft stillness, a story begins to flow. A story of mothers, of goddesses, of saints whose tears were not a weakness, but a gift. These are the healing tears of the divine feminine. Tears that cool the fire of sorrow. Tears that water the dry earth of grief. Tears that turn pain into rivers of compassion. In the temples of Egypt, long ago, there lived a story of love and loss. Isis, the great goddess, sister and wife of Osiris, knew the sharp wound of separation. Osiris' beloved king was taken from her, his body broken and scattered across the land. But Isis did not turn from sorrow. She searched, patiently, tenderly. She gathered the pieces of him, each fragment held with care, as though she were gathering stars, fallen to earth. And when she wept, her tears did not fall in vain. They became prayers. They became magic. They became life itself. Through her tears, Osiris was restored. Through her love, the cycle of life and death was bound in harmony. Isis shows us that tears are not the end of love. They are love flowing, love refusing to vanish, love strong enough to bring even the lost back into memory's embrace. Centuries later, beneath another sky, a mother stood at the foot of a cross. Her name was Mary. She had carried a child in her arms, watched him grow, seen his kindness touch the broken, his words light fires in hearts. And now, she stood in sorrow, watching him suffer, watching him leave. Her tears flowed quietly, but they were not empty. They were the tears of every mother who has ever held grief. They were the tears that hold dignity in suffering, tears that do not destroy faith, but deepen it. Through her tears, she offered comfort to those who would follow, to those who would suffer too. Mary's tears are not of despair, but of strength, a strength soft as linen, quiet as prayer, yet strong enough to outlast centuries. Her tears are a shelter for all who seek comfort. In the east, across mountains and seas, there is a goddess whose name drifts like wind, Kuan Yin. She is called the Bodhisattva of compassion, the one who listens to the cries of the world. Her image is gentle. Her robe flows like water. Her eyes are soft as dawn. And from those eyes, tears fall, not because she despairs, but because she feels the pain of every being. When a child weeps in hunger, she weeps with them. When a mother mourns her child, she mourns as well. Her tears are not weakness. They are bridges, carrying her heart to every corner of the world. The people say her tears formed rivers, rivers that bring healing, rivers that carry away sorrow. Through them, she turns grief into compassion, suffering into mercy. The divine feminine has always been close to tears, not because she is fragile, but because she is open. She does not close her heart to the ache of the world. She lets it flow through her, and in flowing, it becomes healing. Think of the rain. It falls gently. It wets the soil, seeps into the roots, nourishes the hidden seeds. Without rain, nothing grows. Tears are like that. They soften the heart, make it ready for new life, carry the salt of memory into the deep earth of the soul. There are more voices, more women whose tears have carried strength. In Hindu songs, the goddess Parvati wept for the world's suffering. Her tears fell to the earth and formed rivers of holy water so that people might drink and live. In the legends of the Andes, the mother Pachamama wept for her children, and her tears became fertile soil, turning barren valleys green. In stories of the saints, there are countless women whose eyes shone with tears as they prayed, and those prayers healed the sick, comforted the dying, and gave hope to the weary. Every tear, a pearl of compassion. Every tear, a seed of renewal. Now imagine yourself walking in a quiet garden. It is night. The moon is bright. The leaves shimmer with dew, as though the trees themselves have been weeping gently. The air is cool, the ground soft beneath your steps. In this garden, you sense the presence of the divine feminine. She is everywhere, in the rustle of leaves, in the whisper of water, in the fragrance of flowers. She does not speak loudly. Her voice is the hush of wind, the sigh of the earth, and her tears fall like drops of silver light. Each one lands softly, becoming a flower, a spring, a star in the grass. You walk slowly, surrounded by her care. The world feels safe. The night feels endless, yet tender. The healing tears of the feminine remind us of something gentle, something eternal, that sorrow is not wasted, that grief can flow into love, that tenderness is stronger than violence, that compassion is greater than fear. Isis Mary Kuan Yin. Different names, different lands, but the same truth. The world is held together by quiet strength, by the rivers of compassion that flow from hearts that dare to feel. Your breath is slow now. Your body is soft. You rest in the cradle of night. The tears of the divine fall gently around you, like dew on grass, like stars in water. They soothe you. They carry away your weight. They prepare your soul for peace. Let them fall. Let them heal. Let them flow into dreams. Now the garden fades. The moon grows softer. The stars close their eyes. And the voices of the divine feminine become a lullaby, tender, timeless, true. Let us drift onward, into silence, into sleep, into peace. Now rest, as the stars return, and the tears of compassion become rivers of dreams. The night lies open like a scroll of stars. The air is gentle, without weight, without demand. It holds you the way water holds a drifting leaf. With no effort, with no struggle, only quiet support. The moon glows as a lantern above. Yet even its silver face seems softened, as though it too is preparing to fade into silence. The world slows. The heart slows. The story slows. This is the final chapter. The moment where wandering feet find stillness, where every breath becomes an offering of peace. In the oldest teachings, there is a truth whispered again and again, that all things return to silence. Rivers rush with song, but in the end they widen into seas. Their voices deep and low, their journeys complete. Stars burn brightly, But even stars surrender at dawn, their light dissolving into a quiet sky. So too does the soul, after all its searching, find its way to rest. There are stories told in many lands, each carrying the same soft message. One speaks of the desert prophet, who after years of wandering, after trials and storms, lay his head upon the earth, and in the stillness of the night, felt the Holy One draw near, not in thunder, not in flame, but in a whisper softer than wind. It was the whisper of peace. Another tells of the sage beneath the tree, who faced the storms within his own heart. Temptations came like roaring winds, but he sat still, as the roots of the tree wrapped around him. At last the winds grew tired, the storm vanished, and he remained, silent, awake, at peace. Another speaks of the shepherd boy, who sang by the fields. He carried battles in his heart, but in the end, his song returned not to war, but to still waters and quiet pastures, where the soul wants nothing, for everything is complete. Peace is not found by force. It comes as evening comes, without demand, without command. It arrives as sleep arrives, slowly, gently, as though a hand has lowered a veil of calm across the eyes of the world. It is said that peace is the final gift of the spirit. Not riches, not crowns, not victories, only rest. For in rest, there is no loss. In rest, there is no fear. Only the great cradle of silence, where everything belongs. Imagine now a vast temple, made not of stone, but of night itself. Its walls are woven of starlight, its floor a reflection of the moon, its air scented with the sweetness of cedar and myrrh. You step within. There is no weight upon you, no judgment, no burden, only space, endless and tender. In this temple there are no torches, only the glow of stillness itself. Here every prayer becomes a sigh, every sigh becomes rest, and rest becomes the song of peace. The scriptures say, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives, but as eternity gives." Such peace is not the end of a road, but the road dissolving into light. It is the heart returning to its source, like a child leaning into the arms of a mother. It is the ocean folding its waves back into the deep. It is the night drawing its cloak over the tired earth. Think of the stars. They burn for ages, yet even they must rest. When the dawn rises, they do not resist. They do not fight. They simply fade, gracefully, like lamps extinguished in morning's touch. This is the rhythm of peace, not an ending, but a soft returning. In some lands, the old ones told of Kuan Yin, the goddess who listens. She walked among cries and sorrow, yet she did not carry them with heaviness. Instead, she let her tears water the earth, and from her tears grew lotus flowers. Each flower was a place of rest, a seed of compassion. Her gift was not escape from pain, but the soothing calm that follows it, like rain cooling the desert sand. In another land, the people sang of Isis, who searched for her beloved. Her tears became rivers. Her rivers became life. And though sorrow touched her, peace blossomed at her hands. For her grief gave birth to healing. And in the quiet hills of Galilee, a mother wept beneath a cross. Her sorrow was heavy, but even there, peace descended. For in the stillness after anguish, there is always the hush of love that never ends. These mothers, these saints, these goddesses, Their gift was not power, but rest, not noise, but silence, not battle, but peace. Imagine, then, the heart of the world as a great garden. The wars of men are storms that pass overhead. The fires of anger burn and fade. But beneath it all, the soil remains, the roots remain, the deep life remains. And from that deep life, flowers keep rising, always gentle, always soft, always returning. This garden is the final rest, not a place of endings, but of beginnings that need no striving. A place where every leaf knows its place, where every stone rests where it has always been, where water flows without effort, and air moves without weight. Peace is not loud. It is not victory proclaimed. It is the hush after the song has ended, when the listener still feels the music, though the sound is gone. It is the quiet breath before dawn. It is the final note of the flute that lingers in the air, long after the player has lowered his hands. The soul is like this too. After its songs, after its struggles, after its wanderings, it rests, it returns to silence. And in that silence, it is whole. The night now grows deeper. The stars watch without speaking. The wind rests in the branches. The world has laid down its burdens. And so too does the heart. Let the breath soften. Let the body grow light. Let every thought dissolve, like a lantern lowered into a dark river, its flame drifting, drifting, until even the flame is gone, and only the still water remains. The journey is complete. The searching is done. There is nothing more to carry, nothing more to seek, only the vast cradle of peace, the soft ocean of silence. Here every soul rests. Here every tear is dried. Here every struggle has dissolved into the hush of eternity. Now let us drift onward. The story closes, but the silence continues. Let the stars dissolve into dawn. Let the heart be still. Let the spirit rest in peace. The final rest is not far away. It is already here, already within, already surrounding you, like the night itself. Now rest, as the stars return to their hidden home. Now rest, as silence becomes your pillow. Now rest, as peace folds around you, like a gentle cloak. This is the final rest. This is peace.